Okay, Matt Horn. Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Asked us, what is the difference in terms of texture, feel, hand, warmth, etc., between Harris tweed and other tweeds? For instance, like the standard tartan tweed that you use when you made the Nordic Heritage Tweed tartan. He says he personally loves the soft, fluffy, blankety feel of his Nordic Heritage Tweed and his Holyrood Tweed, but he's wondering what is different about that versus Harris Tweed.
Okay.
What makes Harris Tweed a Harris Tweed, frankly, is the foundation question here.
Yeah.
But
So the Nordic Heritage Tweed, weathered tweed that we did was Martin Mills.
Limited run.
Yeah, and I think that the Holyrood one he was referring to is probably Martin Mills one as well. So trying to compare tweeds is like comparing tartans. It's different weights, different purposes, different, there are different types of weave, whether it's plain weave or twill weave, or a herringbone in the case of tweeds. So there's all kinds of different factors. When we say Harris Tweed, you have the little Harris Tweed orb. It is a protected thing. And to be a Harris Tweed, it has to be woven on the Isles of Harris or Lewis, and it has to be a non-mechanized loom, so like a hand-powered loom or a bike-powered kind of loom. So it's not like a high-speed industrial loom. That's really the only qualifications. Now, a lot of Harris Tweed is thicker and or heavier and used more for like outerwear and things like that. Although there's some that are, for upholstery or for women's bags or, a lighter weight and that kind of thing. So there's really a breadth of types of tweeds and reasons to have tweed. So there are lightweight tweeds that you can get to make a suit out of. There's, a little bit heavier weight and a little bit spongier that like kilts are made out of, or maybe for upholstery or stuff. There's heavier, like outerwear, like jackets, or plus fours and things like that,
Right.
that are, meant to be hard wearing and, thorn proof kind of thing. So I would say there's no direct, easy comparison of, Harris Tweed is this and everything else is that. There's very much a sliding scale of what tweeds are used for and how they feel and how they act and what the best horse is for the best course.
Yeah.
Mac, do you have any thoughts on Harris Tweed versus others?
I mean, it's working with some of them, they like to be really spongy. And I know with sewing them, like it's always a gamble what level you're going to get on that stuff.
Like Loch Herons and Martin Mills tweeds are a little. Loch Herons is a little softer and it rips very, very easy. Some of theirs, some of their old stuff. Now, some of their newer stuff that they're making in tartans, it rips a little bit more like tartan. Battley's, when we used to use them and they had tweed, is like really, really hard, scratchy outerwear kind of vibe to it.
I would say Loch Herons now is more on the rougher side. Like the old Lang Syne tweed, which Ian has, and we do a lot of kilts in it, is very, very scratchy with working on it.
Yeah.
It has holds a little better edge on the ironing and in that aspect, where the others can be that when you're ironing it doesn't want to give you that crisp edge all the time. It kind of still has a faint roll to it.
That's exactly like the one I'm wearing now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is like super soft.
This is very soft.
Yeah, I'd say that's a little bit
better.
ahead of that, but we still have that same scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based about tearing them, I wasn't even thinking that aspect of it because of the way we do them now, especially some of those where we're taking them across the bolt. Yeah, it's just that feel is completely different between all of them.
And when you look at some of the different mills that produce a lot of tweed, like Isla Woolen Mill or Lovett Mill and things like that, they have different ranges and different weights. So their tweeds may be 11 ounce, 15 ounce, and 19 ounce, where it's like the 19 ounce stuff is generally heavier, thicker, typically a little bit scratchier and more for outerwear, versus upholstery is maybe a medium weight, where the lighter weight stuff is more for against the skin, where it's a little bit softer and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's no one-to-one comparison Harris Tweed to everything else. It's different horses for different courses. And Sounds
Yeah.
like that's what you're feeling as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have one of my kilts that's tweed is from the Lovett Mill, and it is very, very soft.
Is that their
That's the window pane one.
the lighter weight or the Kirkton? Kirkton's like 15 ounce, and they have a lighter weight
I
range.
think it's been so long.
Okay.
I don't remember anymore. But
Okay.
yeah, that's, I mean, compared to like some of the Martin Mills, even the vests and jackets that I have, it all depends what you want to do. I suggest a swatch, getting that
Yep.
so you can feel it firsthand before
that's
picking
wise.
out what you want.
Agreed.
Now, so, okay, is there any point to considering Harris Tweed
For a
for a
kilt?
kilt at all, other than you want that sense of, oh, this was made by hand, using the term extremely loosely.
Yeah, for the Harris Tweed. Yeah.
Basically just for the name.
Yeah, there are people who have said like there's a couple companies I've seen in the past who have done kilts made from Harris Tweed,
Okay.
and that's fine. It's generally speaking, it's a little bit heavier. Generally, a little bit heavier, a little bit scratchier, but it's very, very, very hard wearing. And some people just want the bragging rights of, yes, this is Harris Tweed.
Yeah, that's kind of what
and
I was wondering.
The material I've had over there for quite some time, up on top of the gray rack over there, that we had specially woven for my War One unit, the camel tartan. That is made from a Harris weaver,
Really?
but it's not a Harris Tweed. It's
Happens to be a weaver who's on.
yeah. So it's that I would say is a little bit more firmer, has a little bit more what he was just saying about having that the weight behind it, but
yeah, stiffer hand to it.
yeah. But I'd be the only comparison that I really have to anything Harris that I've gotten. But as soon as you said that, it clicked in my head that, oh, I have that over there.
Yeah, and frankly speaking, the thicker the fabric, especially when you get above like 16 ounce, like 18 ounce or 20 ounce, and that kind of thing, when the cloth gets thicker, well, the ounce, it kind of when you dial it backwards, the individual yarns are thicker, which when you stack them all up across the warp and the weft, they end up becoming a thicker, width or height wise off the table, piece of cloth in the finished product. So the thicker the cloth, the almost the harder it is to get a nice crisp edge above 16 ounce, because then you start, you're folding things in that don't really want to be folded. I can see it in my brain when I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's trying to fold a blanket and iron a blanket down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't seem desirable to me at all. But
Some like the one kilt I gave it to Ian, or sold it to Ian. The one kilt that I made from Batley's cloth was really, really, really heavy. And it was a pain in the butt to iron. It held a reasonable, crease on the pleat, but it almost was naturally not wanting to sit like flat 2 different layers. It was kind of, a little like, wah.
It has that kind of
Yeah.
pitch to it.
Yeah.
wah.
It makes a whammy bar noise from a guitar. Wah. Exactly. So with all this talk of tweed, has me curious. Would you ever wear a tweed kilt? Let me know in the comments. And while you're here, please remember, subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up.